performance capture, acting, voices of this absolutely fine cast. It streams on Netflix on the 7th of December in a language of your choice. There's Tamil, Telugu, and English, and of course, Hindi. But I think I want to start with Andy. Andy, I have grown up with this story like a lot of us. I have grown up with this book. I have grown up with watching it on television. What makes Mowgli Legend of the Jungle now in 2018 so distinctive from all the adaptations?
I think one of the most important things about this version that does separate it or differentiate it is a really it's really searching for the heart of Mowgli. I think in many other adaptations, it always seems like Mowgli is sort of almost left on the side while the animals do star turns, and that it's a sort of he's part of the story but not central. We wanted to make a Mowgli-centric story, and it's about his very complex psychological, emotional journey of self-discovery in a world, you know, caught between two worlds which are changing, and that's really at the heart of it. And it is so tonally, it is closer to the book as a result. It feels that book had that, and sometimes some of the adaptations haven't really gone as far as they can to really extract that visceral sense of what it is to be caught between, you know, to not have a real sense of belonging, and that's what hopefully the audiences will relate to in this modern context.
Kristen, my next question would be to you. A big Netflix Hollywood release. The premiere is happening in India. How does it feel? Have you gotten used to everything here in India, which is different?
No, but you know, it's just the very tip of the iceberg. You know, I filmed here before in 2011 in Rajasthan, in Jodhpur, with The Dark Knight Rises. And then I brought my family out here. We've been here for 4 days. We traveled through Delhi and Agra and Jaipur, and then just arrived here in Mumbai. And you know, tiny scratch of this incredible country, which has sort of a world within itself. But it's so appropriate for Mowgli to premiere here.
All right, and Rohan. Hi. I like your hair right now too. All right, Rohan. It's a very famous story. Literally every single person in this room and across the world knows this story. People have played Mowgli before. How long did it take for you to get into the character? Like, did you put in a lot of years, you know, probably getting ready for this character of Mowgli, which is iconic?
Yeah, so much like all of you, I actually grew up reading Rudyard Kipling's short stories as well. And, you know, I really loved them, and I really loved Mowgli, you know, the boy who grew up with wolves. He was almost like my hero in a way, but I put a lot of work into this through like the physical side of the character. I did a lot of research on YouTube, and I actually went to upstate New York to camp out with wolves in a wolf conservatory center in order to like observe their movements and kind of observe how they interact with each other, and I try to apply that to Mowgli.
Man, I like it. He did his research on YouTube. I would have aced my exams if I had the internet back then. All right, ladies and gentlemen, of course, I have a lot of questions, but I'm sure that you want to ask your questions. So if you could just raise your hand and a mic would reach you from friends here. Yes, there's a question. Yes, you could start from here. Oh, there's a question coming from there. There's already a mic.
I have the mic,
Hi.
so shall I just start?
If you could just address.
I have the mic, so I'm just going to start. Hi. My question's for Andy, actually. You know, I know Suren just asked you about Jungle Book in the modern context, but my question is actually a variation on that. What would you say is the relevance of the story today, especially with the whole sort of man-animal conflict, conservation, the environment? You know, there's like kind of sharks, Jaws made sharks scary. Is there a possibility that kids might be afraid of tigers after this? I'm just wondering about all these sort of things. And the film does have layering about these things.
Yeah, I mean, I think that our version of the film does, first of all, it digs into the notion of what it is to be an outsider. That is perhaps the most important aspect of the film, what it is to feel displaced, what it is to not feel that you belong anywhere. And that's why I think it will resonate. We live in a world that is full of people who are told to find differences in others rather than accept others, and we, you know, that is one of the things that I think is incredibly powerful about this story of belonging. I think on a sort of a very small kind of political level, you can't make a version of the Jungle Book now in 2018 without recognizing when it was written, where it was set, the history of the time, and we've tried to bring that to bear in some small way in the film, in the way that in the human relationship to the jungle, in the terms of colonization, in the terms of you know, the world of animals having to recede and to be threatened and to somehow survive. So there is a comment on the fact that we are daily losing great swathes of paradise in our world. Yeah, and historically, when Rudyard Kipling was writing this book, and what he means, you know, and I firmly believe that his DNA is part of this storytelling. This boy that was brought up in India, whose first language was Hindi, who then was sent away to live in a foreign land, and was abused as a child. So I think that all those aspects really play into a modern retelling, and I don't think you can actually do it by doing a whitewashed version of this film. I think you have to connect with the place that it was originally written and based, and I think that's what we've done.
And a quick question for your son. What was it like working with Dad and doing what he's made so famous the world over with his performance capture techniques?
Yeah, it was great working with him. Obviously, it's cool to see that he's developed this way of acting, and it's been cool to like try out, you know, the performance capture suit. But it was cool because we'd go into work together, and then we'd come back, and it was just like a normal day. Me getting home from work, him getting home from work. So it was cool. It was a new experience.
All right, there's a question coming from Rudrani. Yes.
Hi, Rohan. I thought you were fantastic in the trailer. What's very interesting is that Mowgli, you know, in different versions, has been always seen as this boy who's been brave, but yet there's this cuteness about him. What we see here is more like a warrior towards the end, where you sort of take on the world. Did you ever think, if you read books, that you would sort of be portraying this version slightly darker, slightly more fierce in your research, or whatever you thought you would do it?
Well, I mean, for a boy growing up in the jungle, you would kind of have to be kind of fierce, you know, to compete with these animals and everything. But also, I think our movie is kind of closer in tone to Rudyard Kipling's book, which it goes kind of deeper a lot with the characters. And also, like, something that I really like admire about Mowgli is really just his perseverance, because, you know, obviously he was dealt a very bad hand in life, and I mean, his parents were killed in the jungle when he was just a child, and stuff like that. He just keeps getting obstacles thrown at him over and over and over again, but he still manages to find a way to just like push through those obstacles. So I think that's really amazing about him.
My question also, thank you so much, Rohan. My question is for Mr. Anil Kapoor. You know, I was having this discussion with Andy earlier about how we've never seen Baloo being so authoritative. You know, he's always been presented more in this comical sort of buffoonery, who sort of also has a light, you know, laughter in the film. But here it's got this a little bit more complex layers. Was that all something that sort of attracted you in you know, when you're voicing it out, when you're portraying it? It sort of helped to do this character in a different twist.
First of all, let me be very honest. I was very, you know, it was an honor for me that I was approached to do Baloo's character. And of course, when I saw the film and saw portions of it and read about it, I said, it's definitely more textured and more layered, so it made it much more exciting. And of course, it became a bit, I have to be very honest, because there was, you know, whenever I got stuck, and you know what, because you see, obviously, we're used to having the director when we are doing the voiceover, so I was, and if he was not there physically present, but Andy's voice was there, so whenever I got stuck, I would hear his voice again and again and again and again, and understand what is he thinking, how is he doing it. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. So because it became a great reference for me, whenever I got stuck, you see, my interpretation was there, but there are times when you need someone to bounce. So this was a great time. You know, I would listen to it 6 times, 7 times, 8 times, and understand it, and then go and do it. So that made it much more exciting for me. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Question from here? करीना जी, कहाँ से आए? Mic है आपके पास?
Hello.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I just had a question for Abhishek, if he could answer. You know, we've seen so many versions of the Jungle Book through the years and through the decades, in fact. What do you think is about this story that, you know, allows so many frequent retellings of it over and over again? What exactly draws people to this story again and again?
I think what's wonderful about the story that Rudyard Kipling had written is that it appeals to every age group through time. When I was a kid, in the early 80s, and we watched Disney's Jungle Book, which I was told today released in '67, your favorite character inevitably was Baloo, because he was the fun-loving guy. As a kid, you like that. But then when you grow older, your choices change. And then as an adult, you prefer a character like Bagheera because he represents certain responsibilities and values which reflect within you. So what's really nice is, I think, whichever stage of your life you watch this film or read the story, there's something for each and every age group to take away from. There are great sense of values, morals, principles, life's learnings and teachings that you can imbibe and take away. So I think that's why this story keeps getting retold. Having said that, I think Mowgli is the most accurate telling to Kipling's story. I think the rest have been, there have been certain liberties that have been taken to make it more possibly child-friendly. I think Mr. Serkis's version is most honest and true to the original script that Rudyard Kipling had written. Having said that, I think you realize that there's a lot more depth in the story. Okay, there's somebody frantically waving a hand in front of your face. Okay, sorry. All right. No, I'm just used to Netflix saying 5 minutes, 3 minutes. I was just wondering, are they telling me to shut up? Sorry. Sorry. Hurry up, hurry up. Okay. It's a 30-second bite.
Not from Netflix.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, sorry. So, so I think you realize that there's so much more depth and layering to this story than what we initially thought when we saw it as children. And I think this representation of the story is most accurate of that, and that's why it appeals across time.
I believe there was a question coming from that side. Where? Okay.
Hi, my question is for Mr. Christian Bale. This is Pooja from Good Times. I wanted to ask you, Bagheera is the Black Panther, but he's also mentor and friend to the man-cub Mowgli. So how did you prepare for this role, and was there pressure in adapting Mr. Serkis's interpretation of Bagheera?
No pressure at all. I mean, Andy, we first met when I was 19 years old. He's always been a phenomenal actor. And then he's really mastered this whole performance capture thing, which when you first start it, you think, what are the secrets? What are we looking for? There's always those elements that you're not sure what the priority is, but he could guide me on that. And eventually it just comes down to it's acting. It's just like anything else. It's just different distractions with performance capture than anything else. Bagheera is really fantastic character. It was really about observing panthers, trying to get the movement down. With performance capture, you get to act directly, with Andy and with Rohan, and we had a great sort of 3-4 crazy days of doing that, but it affects your performance completely. It's fascinating. It's a new world of possibilities of what an actor can transform himself into.
Over here, right here. Mr. Christian Bale, my question is again to you. This is Russell De Silva. What I would like to know is that you have a knack for completely physically and emotionally transforming into any character you play. But unlike many great actors alike today, you also started out as a child actor like Rohan, perhaps 12 or 13 when you did Empire of the Sun. So is there any point when perhaps a saturation sets in, or you feel like you need to take a break considering the demanding roles you do?
Yes.
But could you elaborate a little bit on that, please?
No, sorry.
No.
I didn't hear the last bit. Elaborate on that.
Could you elaborate on that?
Elaborate? Yeah, you just got to stop acting, be human. But Rowan's got tons of different interests. He's a really intelligent kid, way more intelligent than I will ever be in my lifetime. And just being curious about different things, and that informs being a good actor. You got to walk away from it. You got to walk away from films. I imagine every actor up here will say that. Acting itself doesn't lead to better acting life and living that. And so enjoying your downtime. And I'm always someone who I'm kind of kicking and screaming before I go work. I don't actually love working. I love not working. And then when I start working, I love working, and I never want to stop that. So I like whatever I'm doing, but I've recognized that if I don't have downtime, you start to just sort of act like other actors instead of acting like people.
Where, ma'am? Here.
जी मेरा सवाल अपने सभी अभिषेक, माधुरी मैम, अनिल जी एंड करीना आप चारों से है कि यूजुअली आप लोग जो डबिंग करते हैं वो बेसिकली अपने अपने किरदारों को, जो किरदार आप लोग खुद जीते हैं उनके लिए करते हैं. यहाँ जब आप एक मतलब जो किरदार जब अलग से डब कर रहे हैं जो आपने निभाया नहीं है, वो कितना आसान या मुश्किल होता है कंपैरेटिवली?
How was it being the Python?
Giving voice to the Python.
Yeah, giving voice to the Python.
You haven't spoken, so please.
हाँ, मैं हट जाता हूँ. मेरे को पता है, मेरे को मार पड़ेगी. 1 second. Good enough, you guys? You can see? Yeah, please, Kareena.
Well, of course, from the roles that I've played normally, which has been, you know, completely different to what Kaa's character required. I think I enjoyed this a lot more because I found her voice very, very powerful, very, very, it had to be slightly hypnotic because she kind of hypnotizes Mowgli and, you know, in a way to take his decision, you know, and shows him the way, you know, to his journey, the path. So obviously it's slightly hypnotic, slightly seductive, very, very powerful. I felt like when I was dubbing, I felt like, I don't know, I was like on stage. I had to be slightly more theatrical. The voice had to sound like it wasn't me. So I actually enjoyed doing it. When it was over, I was like, God, why weren't there more scenes?
Madhuri, ma'am?
I think it was great doing this because the actor who actually played the original character of the mother, Miss Harris, she did a brilliant job. And all I had to do was just use my voice and her expressions and just get the flow of it. It's a beautiful character. It's that of a mother who accepts Mowgli as a child. He's very different from their clan. He's a man cub. And yet she goes out, she's generous, she is loving, she's giving, and she accepts she accepts him as his own. And that was a wonderful thing, I think, which is needed in the world today. People are different, and you need to embrace something that's different, and that's what she does. And I enjoyed playing her, because she was beautiful, she's ferocious, she will protect her man cub right here at every cost. And I just loved and enjoyed playing her.
Anil sir, I'm going to add a little more to the question. When you watch the Hindi trailer, Anil Kapoor is also there. Like, the way you speak, you know, in real life, and even Balu, there are these worlds that are mixing. Is it difficult? And every actor wants to do a role, if it's been done before, differently. Were you watching what was happening in the English version while you were, you know?
I did say that, yeah, I did. Because I would, you know, try out first. And as I said it, that if I got stuck and I was not happy, and you know, I would listen to it, because I would go back and forth, listen to it in the theater, go into the, you know, do all those crazy things. And, you know, and then I had the reference. So I was fortunate that I had the reference of the great Andy, you know. Otherwise, still, I think I have to learn a lot, you know, with just the beginning, for me at least. And I wish I get an opportunity where I would get to work with all these great talented people like Christian Bale and Andy. And, of course,
Abhishek just mentioned.
Yeah, Freida. Freida, you know, of course I did, you know, the phenomenal film which we did together. It was a great experience, and it was wonderful. And again, we are on the stage again after 10 years. I hope this
is winning
also
awards, basically.
No, it's not the award. I think more important, we should not think about the awards. I think it's the more the people see it and enjoy it and remember it. I think that's what our reward is. Yeah.
Sir, was it easy? No, not Louis, not you. Abhishek, was it just easy to get the swagger? Because I think Bagheera's character has got a lot of swagger. The way he speaks, he's of course training the man cub Mowgli. Was it easy for you to just be this deep baritone voice which you already have? Ooh, 5-mark question.
No, it was very, very challenging. What was liberating about this entire exercise is, I think for the first time, in our films, in our industry, there is a huge element of your personality that you always bring to a character, which is probably not prevalent in the West. In Indian cinema, I mean, that's almost a prerequisite. what was nice is you got liberated because you got to be an entirely new character and you weren't confined within those boundaries. What was really nice is, I mean, I wasn't playing a human being, so that was new. And keeping that in mind and keeping the way Mr. Serkis had designed the character, the way, Christian had performed it, and then to try and Indianize it, that was very challenging. Also, to fit linguistically Hindi into an English dialogue is very challenging. They're two completely separate languages which have a different tone, a different meter. So that was challenging. But I think in terms of, to answer your question, I think these two gentlemen brought in all the attitude and swag that Bagheera needed. We merely tried to live up to the standards that they had set.
I'm going to take one more question, ladies and gentlemen. Renuka?
Hi.
Yes.
Hello, everyone. Christian, my question is for you. You have from Dark Knight to the Black Panther, if you can take us through the voice modulation that you work on. Because I remember in one of the interviews you said that your wife was initially, when you said that you did the Black Panther voice, she wasn't really amused with it. But if you could just take us through how you work on your voices.
Well, with Batman, I just felt stupid. And when I put on the suit. And so I felt like he should sound as monstrous as he could. And what you're referring to is I went home after the screen test and my wife said, "What did you do?" And I showed it and she went, "Oh, well, you blew that, didn't you?" and yeah, no, like the wonderful support. Yeah, and with Bagheera, he's described in the book as having, I think it's like, he says something like, it's a voice like dripping honey from a tree. But he's cunning, he's bold, and he's reckless as well. He's also a wounded individual because he grew up with humans. He saw his mother die, and then he decided to become a panther, and he broke through that lock. But what I liked very much is there's similarities between him and Mowgli, and also him and Shere Khan, because for Bagheera, he's had to work out what his identity is and where he belongs. And then in terms of him and Shere Khan, Bagheera has taken the damage that he's received in his life and he's turned it into love and positivity, whereas Shere Khan has taken that damage and turned it into bitterness and into hatred. And I just wanted to have a sense with Bagheera of great nobility, of sounding soothing for Mowgli when it was needed, sounding avuncular, but then also sounding very threatening when he needs to be. You know, the Rudyard Kipling book says nobody would cross Bagheera's path. Nobody wanted to, and everybody feared him except for Mowgli.
Okay, there's one more question. We have time for one more question.
Hello.
There's a mic already.
Hello.
Where's the mic? Yes.
Hi, I wanted to ask Freida.
Freida, right there in the middle.
Hi. Since you've grown up reading the Jungle Book, how much of that did you bring into your role for this movie? And also, what was it like working with Andy again?
Well, it's always a pleasure working with Andy, and I hope there's many more. Andy and I, when we worked on Rise of the Planet of the Apes, that was my fourth film ever of my career. And I had no idea what motion capture was or what I was going to have to do on set. And it's a very strange thing when you come to set and you watch a grown man in a suit with dots on his face and a camera attached to his head. And then Andy starts performing, and then you completely forget that you're watching a man. You're just watching Caesar come to life. So similarly, I knew, working with Andy on this particular project, that all the animals, all the actors lending themselves to motion capture were going to be taken care of, because really what he's focused on is a performance and not just, the big set of it all. What was your other part of your question? Was how was it? Oh, how did it influence? How did my childhood influence? The beautiful part about this Mowgli adaptation, and I don't know if everyone has seen it, is really what Andy does. It's an ode to India. I remember him telling me before, I think it was before I left for South Africa, that he wanted to do my parts in Hindi and he wanted to attempt it and go down that route. And for all of us who remember on Doordarshan, we'd watch Jungle Book every Sunday.
And there's so much of the human life in the village that was captured in that version, and I have not seen that version anywhere else, in any other adaptation. So for me to go to South Africa and actually work with fellow actors, all speaking in Hindi, all enjoying a kind of a version of the Holi festival, singing a lullaby written and composed by Nitin Sawhney, all of those beautiful things that I associate with India came to life in this movie. So yeah, very grateful to Andy for letting me speak in Hindi in this film and letting me dub myself.
Okay, that was bound to happen. Your own kids.
हाँ जी.
You want to repeat?
Yeah, I mean, he's 2, so not.
He's 2. For you, he's 2. And?
So not right now.
Not right now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the cameras were clicking away, but of course now it's that big family photograph. But I'm going to invite the producer of Mowgli, Legend of the Jungle on stage. Thamba. Guys, calm. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jonathan Cavendish. Yes, now I'd request the cast if they could just step forward. That's